Hi, everybody. Good morning. Happy Pride. Begins the day today. I'm really thankful to be able to be in this room together with you, and I'm really thankful also for the leadership and initiative of the Women's College Hospital in, setting the foundation, igniting this program, and calling forth many different strategists, I think, together to try to figure out what are some of the complexities that are coming forward in terms of women's health. And so to begin, I guess I need to, well, first I want to give a quick shout out to the co-researchers and co-investigators in our project. We've got Huda and we've got Lana in the room. I just have to say, hey. So I'm really thankful that you're part of the project and that many other people are going to be a part of our project. You can read a little excerpt about it in there, and I also have these really cool little zines that tell you a little bit more about Sketch. So Sketch is a community arts initiative that exists to engage young people who are incredible culture makers and creative and resilient voices in our community that don't often get heard. And they navigate sometimes extreme adversity and marginalization from very young ages. And I would say that as we've been digging deeper and existing over the last 18 years, that young women particularly, and those on the gender spectrum who may not identify in traditional understandings of gender, are really, I think, have been coming forward and demanding from us a kind of innovative and integrated response to their needs. And I'm an actor by trade, and when I first started to engage with young people in a drop-in setting, bringing arts engagement to those young people, I was amazed at, first of all, just the kind of ingenuity that I was seeing in how young women on the streets were actually taking incredibly great care of themselves, despite all kinds of limitations and barriers. And just the complexity of their needs that was arising right away was just so striking to me. And so this is, for me, it's really great to be able to be in this position where suddenly now I have the opportunity to bring some of this 18, 20 years experience with young people that I have woken up in doorways, that I have sat together with, that I have held after assaults, that I have been in emergency care with, that I've been in palliative care with, that I have been at births with over the years. Not the kind of thing they teach you about in acting school. It's amazing to me to suddenly be able to be in a partnership with the Dalla Lana School for Public Health, where we can together actually create a voice for how exactly can the arts be a part of enabling women to really realize the full sense of themselves and their health and well-being. So I'm super thankful to Suzanne Jackson and the team with Dalla Lana School of Public Health. And yeah, hi, I see you. And I'm very thankful that we have been just creating this inquiry together. And as we've been doing it, we've actually been having to tease out all the strands of the complexity that women deal with and all the strands of the gender spectrum that we have to also be a part of working together with. And I would say the critical thing that I want to be able to bring forward, I'd love to talk with you about the particulars of the program. It's impossible to do in 3 minutes because it's so damn exciting. But I think that some of what I feel is important is that I think that it's critical in a community-based strategy to ensure that everything that you're setting up in terms of processes and systems, to me, creates a space where the participants that you are working together with are actually the co-investigators with you. And I know that I'm not saying that in the, I realize that I don't have the background, the academic background to really know what I'm talking about when I say, well, if you're gonna say they're co-investigators, then they have to do. But it's always been the case to me in building Sketch in particular, which I feel is a very, it's a successful kind of response to young people's homelessness and marginalization. Wouldn't you say, Huda? Yeah. Yeah, so I feel like over the years what we've learned is that those young people who are navigating that adversity are actually the principal experts in the room that need to be involved first in that conversation. And they need to not necessarily be seen as folks that are in an emergency situation that we've got to hurry up and clean up and figure out how to help, but I feel like they are the ones who can give us the information about the kinds of care that they need and the complexity of the issues that they deal with. So we have to create innovative platforms that can engage people in equitable ways and accessible ways to really be a part of that conversation, to really call their beauty and their creativity and their spirituality forward so that they can be a part of creating the sort of innovative strategies that we need. I'm a huge advocate that arts-based practices create that kind of platform. We did engage with a community health center where we were there weekly, and the community health center themselves said that youth engagement in accessing very primary health care increased exponentially just because of the presence of arts-based practices creating more equitable and sort of entry points, I think, for young people within the community health center over the time period that we were there. And I want to shout out CTCHC, Central Toronto Community Health Centers, if you're in the room. Anybody? Yeah. So, yes, so it's great to have partnerships that take a risk like that with us and to try to figure out, whoa, okay, like we are definitely bringing different organizational cultures together. That's the end of my speech.
Thanks, Phyllis. It's been exciting for us at the Dalla School of Public Health. My Charlotte Lombardo is not here, but she's a colleague. Oh, she is here. Oh, Charlotte. Sorry, kept looking around. Because we've had a chance to develop this as a community-based partnership research, and we put the proposal in. It was successfully funded, and then the work starts. So the challenge for us is that once we got the funding, then we had to really sit down, and we met almost every week through the months of late April, early May, through to now. And we really have been working out all the roles that we have to play and all the different partners, what parts we all play in this and how we work together. How the programs actually run at Sketch and what differences we're going to make in this particular set of programs, because we want to run 4 different arts programs over the time period. And then we also had to work out how the research fits versus the program. But the challenge at U of T is that the funds are not released until we pass ethics review. So although we found out at the end of March, beginning of April, that we got the funding, so we submitted to the Ethics Review Board in mid-April our proposal. The proposal that we could submit at that point was basically based on our proposal, the one we'd written to the Women's Xchange, and didn't necessarily have all the details that we had worked out in terms of roles, et cetera, because we hadn't had a chance to meet yet. But we figured we better get it in as soon as we can, because it takes at least a month to 6 weeks to get word back from ethics. So we heard back from them at the end of May, and they wanted a lot of changes. So one of the things that they wanted is they wanted a scientific review. So if you're in, and I've done this with sick kids before, where I've been in projects there where they go through a scientific review first before you go to ethics. We don't have that process at the Dalla School at the moment. So this was another setback. So we've spent a couple of weeks sending it out to peer reviewers to get the scientific review done, as well as all the revisions that we needed to do. And we've resubmitted to ethics and on Wednesday this week. So that means we still do not have release of funds yet for doing the work. Now, the great thing about being in partnership with Sketch and with the work of our coordinator is that they're volunteering their time until we get the funds released, just to get things started. And that has been really helpful. One of the challenges that's posed by ethics, and one of the things that we've had to address, is to make the distinction between the access to the program and the participation in the research. So because this is a street-involved population, they should not be denied access to the program because they don't want to participate in the research. So we really have to be very, very clear about the difference between the two, and that you have the opportunity to participate in the research voluntarily. So we've broken it up into a series of different research activities so people can opt in and out as they feel comfortable as they go through the program. So although we have a pre-post methodology, we may not get the same people in the pre and the post because they may decide to not opt in at the beginning but opt in at the end, or opt in at the beginning and not at the end. We don't know. So that has been one of the issues raised in the scientific review, but we've also come back and said we have not got another solution for this except to be as friendly and welcoming as possible for both the research process and the program process, to try and aid people's level of comfort in participating. And we have put up lots of confidentiality barriers. The one thing that I did want to say is the requirement to put a video together to talk about this research has put up a big red flag as far as ethics is concerned. And we're having to really be quite careful to talk about whether or not people's faces are part of the video, which would be the final one of the products that Women's Xchange wants. Their art pieces, I think, would be okay, but we're going to have a long conversation with the women involved in each of the art projects. They're going to be asked to participate in designing the video and figuring out what goes in it, but when it comes to being identified with their art pieces and having their faces as part of it, we're going to have a long conversation with them about the pros and cons of doing that in this particular instance. And we've committed that we will have no faces in our final report. We'll have only art pieces if we get permission from people. So it's challenging in the nature of the project that we have and the kinds of things that we've had to work around in order to do the research and respect people's confidentiality.